It's very easy in NATO to forget that the south of NATO is as important as the north. Very often the media focus comes on Northern Atlantic. But you know, the south of NATO, whether that's Romania or the Black Sea or Bulgaria or East Central Europe, is just as important. It's where we see Russia pose a threat, sub-threshold and sometimes directly in areas like the Black Sea, and often very aggressively challenge our exercising of freedom of navigation or indeed freedom to fly in our own airspaces. And that's why it's really important that NATO's leadership in delivering a message to Putin that the alliance is how we are going to stand up to his bullying and his threats. And I'm grateful for Romania's leadership in standing strong and tall in the light of a very aggressive Russia at the moment. Certainly they are on the front line. They are one of the countries such as Poland and Romania who are on the front line from the potential overspill or indeed a more aggressive Russia. The fact that Romania has sent troops to Poland to help in Poland is a tremendous sign of partnership and teamwork. And it is that partnership and teamwork that sets us apart from Russia, because we ultimately share the same values of democracy and freedom, rule of law, and freedom of the press. Something that sometimes politicians of all colours and all countries deal with, but it is one of the most important aspects of our freedom and democracy, a free press. And if you doubt that, just go and ask the people of Russia, who won't know why their young soldiers are coming back in body bags. They will be told some fictitious story. Not very far away this morning in a place called Kramatorsk, what appears to be Russian missiles struck civilian people queuing for trains to seek a safer place from the war. The striking of civilian critical infrastructure is a war crime. These were precision missiles aimed at people trying to seek humanitarian shelter. It's not the first time. In fact, it's sadly a repeat of many occasions when the Russian state, President Putin and his generals, seek to take the war out on civilians, civilian areas, and civilian national infrastructure. And whatever happens in Ukraine, we must not let the international community forget that. What Putin is doing today is building his own cage around himself. That sanctions and his activities must not be freely lifted to allow him to go back to his super yachts and normality. What we are seeing is a criminal endeavour on a free and sovereign country, and Britain and Romania and other NATO allies will not stand by and let that happen. I'm delighted to be here today as the Italian Typhoon Squadron hands over to the Royal Air Force United Kingdom wing. We will increase from 4 to 6 the aircraft based here to do policing. The fact I'm standing next to British and I think Italian and certainly Romanian allies shows that strength in the air. Italy, the United States, Romania and the United Kingdom are playing a strong part in protecting that domain under a Spanish commander from NATO, truly multinational. On the land, the United States, France, Belgium and Portugal will be coming here to assist and support on the land components. And finally, I'll say something about the United Kingdom's role. When all of this is over, people will ask who were there before it happened and who will be there after. The United Kingdom will be here after. The United Kingdom was here before in Romania and in Ukraine, and from the Barents Sea to the Black Sea, the United Kingdom will play its part in contributing to supporting the resolve and strength of NATO and standing up for all those values in Europe that we share. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary of State, I myself was under the time pressure. I do apologize for that. So, dear colleagues from the media, we are now opening the Q&A session. I would kindly ask you to try to limit to one question and no follow-up if possible. So the first question goes to BBC.
Duncan Kennedy from the BBC. A question for both ministers, please. An impressive show of force here this morning, but given that we all understand that Russia's building up its forces again now for another attack in Ukraine, do you think this kind of thing could be seen as a provocation, or do you think that NATO simply has no choice now but to demonstrate its force?
How do you provoke a man who's already invented excuse after excuse to invade a sovereign country and kill innocent civilians. You can't provoke him anymore. He is determined, at the cost of thousands of Russian lives, to prosecute an invasion of a country that he has no right to do so. He doesn't care about his own people. The idea he's going to care about whether we fly jets in our own airspace, not their airspace. No one's flying into Russian airspace, in our airspace, that is somehow provocative is I think, misleading. I think fundamentally, President Putin listens to strength. He listens eventually when the message and the truth gets through to his people, and he will listen to the consequences of what he has done in Russia and Ukraine. He will listen to the consequences of his sanctions. Where is the Russian economy now? Where is the ruble now? Where are his friends? If his friends are Belarus and North Korea and Venezuela, that's not a party I want to attend. That's not much of a friendship group worth having. And I think he can't be provoked anymore. He can be deterred, and we can help Ukraine defeat and push back his army from their aggressive moves. And if he thinks he's got away with it, he only has to look at the casualty rates of his young men that he sent unprepared with an arrogance to war in another country, and look at the losses of his armour. Open source suggests they've lost 2,500 armoured vehicles. He's all in. He has put most of his Russian ground forces into Ukraine or on the border of Ukraine. And it doesn't look like it's gone very well so far. Yes, he will try and regroup. Yes, he will try and re-equip. But so will the Ukrainians, with the help of NATO allies and donors. They will be re-equipped. They will be resupplied. And the fundamental flaw in the Russian army hasn't gone away. Incompetent generals, arrogant planning assumptions, who don't care about the men they command. And not caring about the men you command, let me tell you as a former soldier, always ends up in the bad result, which is what they're getting.